What's up, YouTube? Though this is not a basketball event, so I might not get too many people in the room for this one. What's up, Tristan? What's up, Jeffrey? Salute King Strick. Has any of y'all guys seen this fight? Did y'all actually look at it? What's up, Neutral Natural? What's up, Elijah? Stephanie, what's up? Yeah, I know Neutral. Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, I kind of, you know what I'm saying, I kind of knew what to expect for that fight. You know what I'm saying? I know what was going to be. This ain't 2002, this ain't 1998, so I knew it was going to be somewhat anticlimactic. What's up? What's up, Rashawn Jones? Hey, Shakira. Hello, blessed Mr. Davis. Jadro. Sean, what's up? What's up, Rod? Tristan McCray, what's up? Oh, yeah, Nate Roberts. Yeah, he got knocked the fuck out. I actually didn't see that one. Like, I actually just saw him. I saw the aftermath with that one, you know what I'm saying? I saw the aftermath. What's up, Honcho Square? No, I wouldn't say the fight was trash. You gotta remember, man, like, you gotta be realistic, man. Like, Mike Tyson hadn't fought in 15 years. Roy in almost 3 years. To be honest with you, I think Mike looked kind of good, man. I mean, if you remember how Tyson looked the last 2 fights he had, and you look at him move in the ring after being inactive for 15 years, he looked pretty fucking good tonight. He looked damn good. Like, because that was one of the reasons why when I did my little prediction video, I was kind of hesitant because I'm like, damn, man, Mike, this dude ain't fought since 2005, man. Like, I was thinking he was going to be slow. I was thinking he was going to be winded, even though he looked good in videos, but, you know, it's a different thing to fight. But it was Roy the one that looked like shit when it came to, you know what I'm saying, when it came to conditioning. Roy, I don't know, man. Yeah, Roy at 210 pounds, you know, yeah, Roy just looked slow. He looked slow and sluggish, and he was trying to be elusive, but, you know, all that extra weight, the age, plus you could tell that the accumulation of Tyson's punches were starting to affect him, you know, and I was surprised that Tyson really wasn't winded. Like, even into the 7th round, I know there were 2 minute rounds, but in the 7th round, Tyson really wasn't that winded. And he was talking about he want to fight again, you know, so shit. Now, as far as Tyson fighting actual younger fighters, I don't know about that. That's another thing, too. I got the distinct impression from looking at Mike throw his punches that he was taking a little something off of him. Maybe I'm wrong with that, but it looked like he wasn't, you know what I'm saying, as he would say, throw with bad intentions. he was throwing with, with some naughty intentions. I guess like he was like he was taking something off of his punches a little bit. Yeah, Roy was holding a lot, man. But hey, that's what guys used to do back in the day against Tyson. KB Magic, what's up? Yuseki, Tristan, Sheldon, what's up? Yeah, Mike was kind of taking it easy on him. I could tell from watching that fight. And I was, like I said, I'm very surprised at how quick Tyson looked at age 54, man. Like I'm telling you, like comparing him, if you saw Mike Tyson those last two fights that he had, and you look at it now, it almost makes me mad at Mike because I was thinking Mike was finished physically, where it really must have been a mental and spiritual thing with Mike back then because, I'm looking at this dude now. I'm like, well, what the fuck? Yeah, Roy has a very unorthodox style. And, I do believe if both of them were in their primes, Roy probably would have given Mike a lot of problems with his elusiveness. But the one problem that Roy has, is that he just doesn't take punches that well. Like I said, Mike was taking some. I think Mike was holding back a little bit. Maybe the added weight helped Roy be able to take those punches, but those body blows was starting to affect Roy Jones. You know what I'm saying? That's why if he talking about doing it again, like, man, fuck this. I don't know if I want to do this shit again. But Mike talking about when Mike was talking about, fighting again, Roy was like, man, I don't know about all that shit. Yeah, Tyson was holding back. Tyson was holding back. And, I don't know, maybe everybody don't agree with me, man, but when I look at the whole picture, shit, if I'm Mike, shit, why not go, honestly, why not fucking go pro again and fight some fucking C-list fighter? Shit, why not? Obviously he can't fight the upper tier dudes. He can't beat those guys, but, I think some of these C-list fighter dudes, these C-list level fighters, Mike can beat some of these dudes, man. Well, yeah, man. That's Tyson. Shit. Ever since he came back in '95, he's always been kind of like he's turned into a headhunter and more of a home run hitter and shit. So he always had a tendency to swing and miss and shit a lot. You know what I'm saying? As far as accuracy. But Roy looked decent at times. You know what I'm saying? You saw flashes of what made him brilliant, and Roy before he gained the weight to fight Ruiz back in 2002, I think it was, or 2003, it was year it was. Roy before he fought then, his athleticism, you know what I'm saying, was unbelievable. I've never seen a guy that was so unorthodox in the way that he fought and had the reflexes he had. Like I've never seen a guy with his reflexes ever. You know what I'm saying? Now, Floyd Roy isn't the most skilled guy I've ever seen. You know, once his athleticism started to go away, you saw how he literally was really a really flawed fighter in a lot of ways, but still. Yeah, I think Tyson won that like 5-3, 6-2, or something like that. You know, I don't see it as being a draw. You know what I'm saying? They probably told him to do that shit. Since it went the distance, they probably told the judges, or they influenced them to make it a draw, to push the you know, to push the I guess, you know, I'm trying to say, like, they sort of push for a rematch or whatever, but you gotta ask Pensacola. Like I said, the one thing I am kind of like surprised about with Mike is how much he's retained a lot of his speed. It's crazy. Like Holyfield's done. Holyfield, I can tell right now if Tyson were to fight Holyfield in a real match now, he'd beat the shit out of Holyfield, and he probably would beat Lennox Lewis now, just because of how they've taken care of themselves. Right, you need the athleticism, and you know, when Roy was, you know, between 160 and 175, it was beautiful to watch that man fight, man. And like y'all heard y'all heard him say in the broadcast when he fought one of the judges, Vinny Pazienza, back in 1995. I remember watching that fight. Vinny Paz, I was calling it because I always fuck up with his last name, Pazienza. I always say Vinny. I always sound like a stroke victim when I say his name. Vinny Pazienza. No, but when he fought Vinny Paz in '95, man, I remember that fourth round. Vinny didn't land a fucking punch, man. Do I agree with the draw? Nope. Nah, I think Mike won. Yeah, Mike was pulling his punches. He definitely was pulling his punches. And he wasn't really, like you said, King Thanos, he really wasn't headhunting so much in this fight. You know what I'm saying? He was really more going to the body. You know what I'm saying? But even with that, Roy Jones was like, he was feeling it. You know what I'm saying? That's why he like, man, fuck this shit. But you know, to be honest though, on a personal level, man, I don't like Mike as much as I used to, man. You know what I'm saying? Like Mike been doing a lot of cooning lately and shit, man. A lot of cooning. You know, for a brief, you know, respite, man. I was not thinking about that shit, but I don't know, man. Mike been doing a lot of cooning over the last couple of years, man. Nah, I don't think Mike rigged the fight, rigged the rousing. I just think that, you know, it's considered an exhibition. So because it's an exhibition, you know, they're not going to go at each other in the same manner that they would in a regular, normal bout. You know what I'm saying? Like when I was just watching Tyson and Roy throw punches, you could see they were pulling their punches. You can kind of see that shit. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I was like, man, it's not going to really be a knockout in this fight. Now, that earlier shit with Nate Robinson and Jake Paul, I didn't catch the actual KO punch, but that was a fight. You know what I'm saying? Haplotype says Mike landed the clean, effective punches. Mike had the ring generalship. Mike was effective, aggressive. Defense was about even. Mike wins on 3 or 4 criteria, and the 4th was a draw. Yeah, and just even the eye test, you know what I'm saying? Just the eye test in general. Roy just didn't look that good. You know what I'm saying? Outside of the first round or first and a half rounds, Roy looked severely winded, and he was doing a lot of excessive clinching. You know, a lot of excessive clinching, which you can expect for a guy that's in his fucking 50s. But, you know, at the end of the day, I have to say that, I know I keep saying this, but I have to say that I'm rather impressed with how Mike looked, given the circumstances. He's 54 years old. They say he lost 100 pounds for this. And he hasn't fought since, I think it was June of 2005. And if you remember how he looked back then, he looked terrible. So, considering all of these factors, man, you know, he looked pretty damn good. You know, I gotta give him that. It makes me wonder how he would actually look in a real fight against a, you know, I guess maybe a guy that's sort of like in the, I don't know, maybe like in the top, like somewhere in the 20 to 30 range as far as rankings. Makes me wonder if he could actually be competitive with a guy like that. You know, I just now that I see him doing this exhibition, it makes me wonder if he could have came out of retirement, you know, years ago and actually maybe have won a belt if he actually had his shit together. You know, because I just always attributed to Mike just showing his age back then, but then again, we gotta be fair too. This is an exhibition. He was going up against someone who was also in his 50s. So I don't want to gauge too much into this. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to jump the gun and be like, oh, you know, he could maybe, you know, be a top 10 contender. I'm not saying that, but he looked a lot better than I thought he would. I was anticipating him coming out, throwing a lot of punches, missing, and then by the 4th round, being like Roy Jones, breathing heavy, and, you know, doing that, oh, woe is me, I'm going to quit again type shit in the 7th or 8th round. But I didn't see that, you know. Because one of the things I noticed about Mike toward the end of his career is he was having some stamina issues. You really believe that haplotype? You really believe Tyson could beat Joshua? Yeah, you see what I'm saying? Like Bernard Hopkins was Methuselah. Like he was the greatest Methuselah and was looking, you know, you never seen a guy in his late 40s look that good. And then when he fought Kovalev, oh my God. You know what I'm saying? I just don't want people to go overboard with this, you know. But I am. It is funny how after that exhibition, it was Roy Jones that was, and it was Tyson that was like, "Hey, I'm ready to go again. I want to fight again. I want to fight again. Can we go back in the ring? Can we go back in the ring and fight again?" Nah, I didn't think that Ruiz could beat Joshua. But, you know, then again, Ruiz is like still in his 20s. So, I mean, I don't know. Anything's possible. Anything is possible. Smooth, well, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? Is this a joke? Which version of Ali you talking about, Ray Durazo? Oh yeah. I mean, that's what Hapler type, think, man. That's what he thinks. I don't think so though, but I mean, but you never know. He said that chuckle. The too raw chuckle. Nah, but I do know one thing. Joshua's a pussy. So when you look at that aspect of it, I mean, shit, you don't know. He's a pussy. Yeah, he's a pussy, man. He's a pussy. I mean, I know he's a fighter and all that shit, man, but he's a fucking pussy. You know? Why? Why? Because he's been fucking ducking Wilder forever, man. I don't even want to get into that. I don't even want to get into talking about that. Andy Ruiz, nah. Andy Ruiz would destroy Mike Tyson. Nah. Well, if you're talking about prime Tyson, I think that you know, you've been breathing too much ether or some shit. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, burgers. I'm not even getting to that argument about that. This is not even about Joshua versus Wilder. I got my opinions. You got your opinion, man. I'm not even gonna get into that. But I do know this. Andy Ruiz won, and then he got satisfied. You know what I'm saying? He got satisfied, you know, got complacent, gained about fucking 16 pounds, and then got his ass whooped in the rematch. Mike Tyson, when his head is right, you know what I'm saying? Tyson held the belt for 3.5 years, undisputed. So, you know, and Tyson fought, to me, superior competition over his career to Anthony Joshua. So, shout out to Haplotype for the super chat donation. He says Tyson could. I'm assuming that Tyson could beat Joshua. Well, I mean, like I said, I don't know, but I don't know about that. But at the same time, if he did, I would troll the shit out of Joshua videos. If he lost to a 54-year-old man, I would have to troll the absolute shit out of Anthony Joshua. Well, not all British fighters are soft, man. You ever seen Nigel Benn? You know what I'm saying? Like, Nigel Benn was a fucking warrior. You know, there was Nigel Benn that unfortunately, fought Gerald McClellan, and I don't want to go into that too much, but you know what I'm saying? Nigel Benn is a warrior, but I do know Tyson used to make Frank Bruno his bitch. So, nah, Burgers. Mike was taking off. Mike was holding back his punches, man. I mean, it's kind of easy to see that he was doing that. I'm not saying Mike had the same power he did when he was 25 or 30, but I don't think he's lost a lot of his power. You know, like like I said, man, to be honest, man, for him to look the way he looked at his age is shocking to me. The way he was moving around the ring. Like, look, for instance, George Foreman, when he came back, when he was 40, he was decidedly slower. He was considerably and noticeably slower than he was back in the 70s when he was 25, 27, when he was like 38, 39. Tyson's 54, and I was looking at him, I'm like, well, damn, he's still quick. What the fuck is going on with this dude, man? Right. LK, absolutely correct, LK Raw. That's right. Look, he says, I'm glad no one got hurt. It was an exhibition. Both guys got paid. They got some more money to feed their families. That's all that matters. Absolutely. And the fight wasn't total shit. I mean, we've been saying for a while this is an exhibition. This ain't gonna be like a brutal, you know what I'm saying, no holds bar fucking Rocky Drago. It's not that. It's an exhibition. And if Drago was paying attention, with the Apollo fight, Apollo would have lived. That'd have been an exhibition. But he said if he dies, he dies. It's fucked up. That's supposed to be an exhibition too. But Yeah, that's what I was trying to say, Jimmy. Like, he actually looked quicker than Jones. And, I'm kind of surprised by that because that was one of the reasons why I was hesitant to say that I thought Mike was going to have the advantage, because I did think that he was going to have the advantage, even though I knew it was exhibition. But at the same time, I was like, this guy had been out of the ring for 15 fucking years. And I remember how terrible Mike looked those last two times he fought. As a matter of fact, ever since, the last 2 to 3 years Tyson fought, he didn't look that good. The last two fights, he really looked terrible. He was losing to Taco Bell employees and taxi drivers and fucking part-time Walmart cashiers and shit. So I'm like, man, Tyson might not look good, man. It's one thing to spar. You know how many times Mike looked good sparring, in the ring he looked like shit? But that's why I was like, man, I don't know, man. And Roy is younger. Roy, it hasn't been that long since he fought. I'm like, I don't know, man. Roy might actually look better. But I was shocked. It was Roy that actually looked like, Roy damn near had titties and shit, man. Yeah, man. McClellan was his friend. But if I'm not mistaken, man, I don't think Roy, I might be wrong. Maybe he has since this was reported. But I don't think Roy has ever visited Gerald McClellan, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think he's ever visited him. And a lot of people say it's because, he just don't want to either see him in that condition, or it might remind him of, what can actually happen in boxing. You know what I'm saying? The greatest boxer or the greater boxer? I mean, if you're talking about like an all-out ranking, I mean, most people would say Ali, but if you're talking about like actual boxing, um, probably Leonard. If you're talking about like just actual fighting skills, boxing, Leonard. But most people would probably rank Ali first, and then Tyson, and I guess Leonard, or maybe Leonard and then Tyson. Oh, Ali number one. Ali. Well, I put it like this. I won't say Ali's just automatically number one. Most people have Ali in their top three. I put it like that. You know what I'm saying? Some people might still, depending on look, I put it like this. Over the past 50 years, you usually see a couple of names number one. You either see Joe Louis, Sugar Ray Robinson, or Muhammad Ali. It's usually one of those names as far as number one. Some people might even have somebody like what's his name, Henry Armstrong. Somebody might have a guy like that up there, but you usually see the same names. Some old school cats will tell you, man, a guy like Sam Langford should be up there. Right, haplotype. You know what I'm saying? The haplotype, no, he remembers when I used to do boxing videos and shit more. You know, so I don't really talk about boxing like that anymore. But yeah, Ali fought Ali fought some people, man. Ali fought some serious punches, man. Starting with shit. Liston, He fought Cleveland Williams. He fought Shavers, Foreman, Ron Lyle, Chavallo, um, Frazier. I mean, he fought like some serious heavy hitters, man. Mac Foster. A lot of people don't even remember Mac Foster. Mac Foster was going to be the next big thing. I think at one point Mac Foster was like 30-0 with 28 knockouts or some shit like that. Yeah, Charlie Burley is another one. A lot of people say that Sugar Ray Robinson ducked Charlie Burley. That's an interesting comment you got right there. Ali ain't the best, but he was a revolutionary. So he is a LeBron James and Michael Jordan somewhat. I mean, Ali's not the best technical boxer. Nah. But why people like Ali so much is, you know, the physical gifts he had is something that you never really saw in a heavyweight fighter before. See, look, like Roy Jones was 210 pounds tonight. Ali was 210 pounds starting off. And the physical speed, like the speed and the quickness and agility that Ali had, man, you just didn't see that in a heavyweight. And I still haven't seen that in the heavyweight. You know what I'm saying? Like, the only heavyweight I think that had hands that might have been faster is maybe Floyd Patterson. But overall speed, I've never seen a guy as fast as prime Muhammad Ali. You know, most of the footage that we see is Ali in the 70s when he was older and a little bit slower, you know, and a little heavier. But Ali from 60, I'd say 64 to 67. Yeah, Oscar Bonavina. I forgot about him. You know what's funny about when Ali fought Oscar Bonavina, Zach, too, is Ali was never known as a puncher. You know what I'm saying? He was never known as being a puncher. But I have noticed that when Ali punched off of his toes, he had more power. And if I'm not mistaken, I think he knocked out Oscar Bonavena in what round was it in that fight? Was it the 12th round? I know he knocked him out at the end of shit. To me, King Thanos, Joe Frazier's the only guy to really beat Ali. Well, no, I take that back. I take that back. Cause I gotta include Ken Norton in that too. But really beat Ali, he's the only guy to really beat up Ali in anything near his prime. You know what I'm saying? Frazier, because the other losses that Ali had, you could kind of argue, well, Ali was older, like with Holmes and Trevor Berbick or Spinks. You could argue that Ali was older and, you know, the Parkinson's, or he wasn't close. You know what I'm saying? Ali was only 29 when he fought Frazier the first time when he beat him. And Ali was still kind of close to his prime. I mean, maybe he wasn't as good as maybe he wasn't quite as fast as he was in 67, but Ali was still pretty close to his prime then. What's up, LB? What's up, LB? Did you catch that fight? Oh yeah, Henry Cooper. Henry Cooper caught Ali ass too. Oh yeah, that George Foreman versus Ron Lyle fight. Yeah, that wasn't no defensive fight right there. That was some old Ring King shit. That was some Ring King shit. Oh, you fell asleep? Yeah, we're gonna try to stay safe, Mike 104. I don't think he did. I don't think Joe Bugner knocked down Ali. That was Chuck Wepner, right? I know. Yeah, I was thinking. I said, I think Ray means Mike because I don't think Ali is in a condition to fight anymore right now. You know what I'm saying? Where do I rank Andre Ward? Honestly, King Thanos, I haven't really thought about it. You know, I used to follow boxing a little bit deeper, but shit, honestly, the last 5 years or so, I've kind of gotten a little away from that. So I wouldn't even know where I would rank Andre Ward. Off the top of my head, if you're talking about just overall in boxing history, I don't know, man. Top 30 ish, maybe top 30. If you're talking about overall, because, there's been a lot of great fighters. So, it's hard to, because once you think of one guy, you're like, oh, this guy got to be top 20. But then when you think about boxing, you'll start thinking about 10 dudes that are comparable. And I'm not one of those guys that's all, I don't get moist about a motherfucker having a zero because I look at who people fought. And I do know that fighters in the past fought generally stiffer competition. Like they weren't sitting up there padding their records against bad fighters all the time. I know a lot of people sit there and say, oh, well, this guy fought taxi drivers and this guy fought that. But what people don't understand is back in the 40s and 50s, these guys weren't making money like that. So when these guys weren't fighting, they had to be taxi drivers. They had to be porters. They had to do all these other shit to make ends meet. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, year round, they still kept themselves in shape, but they had to do other shit to make money. But like I said, I do know that those guys in the past, they generally fought tougher competition more often. They fought the better fighters more often, especially once they became established fighters in the fight game. The 60s, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not really thinking about it, you know what I'm saying? I, like it could be, like I said, it could be a lot of. I do remember this. I do remember when I was doing a top 50 list before, and this was years ago. This was like maybe 8 years ago, 9 years ago. I didn't even have Manny Pacquiao in my top 60 at the time. So that goes to show you how stacked boxing history is. You know, I mean, I like Joe Calzaghe. He's all right, shit, but he never want to go. He never want to get out of his comfort zone, man. He always want somebody to come to the pond to fight him. And then he had a habit of fighting a lot of great fighters, but once they were kind of past it, you know what I'm saying? Like, like uh, yeah, all right. Yeah, I would agree with that now. That he's above Andre Ward. You know, he said James Tony couldn't get out of his own way. James Tony can't get his head out of that refrigerator. Zach Frederick says, I think Sugar Ray Robinson is the greatest boxer of all time, but I think Muhammad Ali is the greatest heavyweight. That's pretty much the consensus, you know. You're not gonna have a lot of people disagree with you on that. You know what my biggest pet peeve is though, man? I've said this before. I don't see what's so great. Now somebody who's a boxing historian can educate me, okay? Because boxing is not my forte like NBA is. So somebody can educate me on something. But I don't understand what the big deal is about Jim Jeffries. Okay. Yeah, I used to see a lot of people like Bert Sugar and others have Jim Jeffries in their top 10. And at the end of the day, I don't understand how you can rank somebody who only fought 20 times so high. He only fought 20 times. And it seems like, number one, he didn't fight black fighters. I mean, I know he's not the only one, but he didn't fight black fighters. When he did fight Jack Johnson, he got his ass whooped. I don't know. I just don't see it. I don't see this all-time great fighter in him. So I think Rocky Marciano was overrated. Uh, I think his fans overrate him a little bit, but I think from the way that most people look at him, I think it's pretty accurate. Because let me tell you something. Imagine a fighter today. Now look, King Thanos. Imagine a white fighter today. I'm just being honest. Imagine a white heavyweight fighter today going 49-0. at being undisputed champion for, what was he, 3.5 years he was undisputed? You know, good and goddamn well, everybody would be calling him the GOAT. But that goes to show you how people back then had historical perspective. They looked at the level of competition Rocky fought, and even though they knew he was a really good fighter and great, and Joe Louis had losses, they knew Joe Louis was a superior fighter. They knew that Jack Dempsey was a superior fighter, even though he had losses. They knew that Jack Johnson was a superior fighter to Rocky. Shit, Ezzard Charles is a superior fighter to Rocky. He's more of a light heavyweight. So on that aspect of it, that way, I can't say Rocky's overrated. I think he's right where he should be, but I do think his fans overrate him a little bit because he always bring up the 49-0. But I mean, he did what he had to do. I do think that if he fought longer, that O would have disappeared because I think that Floyd Patterson would have beaten him. And if not Floyd Patterson, most definitely St. Liston. Yeah, I know what you're saying. I mean, he was 20-0, 19 KOs. I get it. It was dominant for the era, but I just look at the lack of activity for that era. It's almost kind of similar to a fighter today, whereas most of those guys, because look, what didn't Harry Grant fight 300 times? If I'm not mistaken. Right. That's why I give Rocky credit. You know what I'm saying? At least he did fight black fighters. He fought black fighters. Um, Dempsey didn't on purpose. And you know, and it's funny because Dempsey was such a popular fighter that he could have crossed the color line, but he chose not to. And my thing is this. I kind of lose some respect for those guys, haplotype, because if I'm the best, I want to prove I'm the best. I don't want to just, you know, fight one particular group of fighters. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, well, okay, have I proven I'm the best? You know what I'm saying? I want to prove I'm the best. I want to fight everybody. So I don't know. That's just me. Wasn't Jerry Cooney the Great White Hope? I don't think he wanted to be, but he was marketed as the Great White Hope. You know what I'm saying? I don't think he wanted to be that when he fought Larry Holmes, but he was marketed as the Great White Hope. Neutral Natural, who wins? Mike Tyson versus Bo, 1993. Well, Tyson was incarcerated. Tyson was in jail at the time, so I guess Bo won in life at the time. I mean, I don't know, man. I will say this though, Bo could have beaten Mike Tyson if he had his head on right. When Bo was right, when he was disciplined, before he lost his reflexes from all that yo-yo dieting and got this interest in boxing and all that, you know, all that shit. Bo was Bo was a really fucking great fighter, man. And if Bo had kept discipline, he really could have gone down as one of the all-time greats. You know what I'm saying? And shit, he beat Holyfield, what, 2 out of 3 times, right? Ray Durazo said, A2 Raw, you know you love that Tom Brady smashing against the Rams. So after the game, he didn't shake Jared Goff's hand. Yeah. I pointed out the Patreon video I did today. Like, remember how the NBA, remember how ESPN, everybody was criticizing LeBron James for walking up the court after that loss to Miami? It was bad sportsmanship and all that shit, and everybody was micro-analyzing that. Oh, this mean that LeBron, it's poor taste, LeBron. I mean, I expect better from him. But when you know what I'm saying, when Tom Brady does it constantly, nobody gives a fuck. Pouting and throwing a hissy fit because he didn't win he didn't win the game and shit. You talking about Bo? The man had a kitchen in his bedroom. God damn. Oh, okay, Ray. Yeah, I talk about them on my Patreon, man. Skip Bayless is such a shameless fucking fanboy, man. God, man. See, I couldn't be that hypocritical. On the one end, I couldn't sit up there with a straight face and criticize LeBron for walking off like he did. But then when Tom Brady does the exact same thing, he calls it killer instinct. Oh my fucking God, man. I've heard that. I've heard that he had a Trump hat in his locker. I do know that Tom Brady and Donald Trump are either friends or they're friendly. One of the two. So yeah, I saw that shit too. He said LeBron was giving gang signs. I'm like, oh my fucking God, man. Then remember he said LeBron might have digitally altered the photo to make Bronny look bigger and shit. I'm like, man, this dude is this dude's on a whole nother level with hate, man. This is a supreme hater, man. It's almost like he's on a different skill set when it comes to hate. I have an echo. Oh, I know what it was. I had that damn fan on. I had that fan on. That's what it was. I said, I know what it is. It's that fan. And yeah, I have a fan on in late November. I like the fucking cold, man. Got the heat on in here, and I don't like fucking heat. I'm a penguin. I like cold and shit. Wah, 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 wah. Man, they criticize Lamar Jackson because he hasn't won a playoff game yet. I'm like, man, it's getting worse and worse, man. And I'm like, okay, well, what the fuck did Phillip Rivers win? Right? What did Phillip Rivers ever really won? Has Matthew Stafford won a playoff game yet? Where's the push for him to win a playoff game? Who you talking about, King? Thanos, when you says, so is he overrated or legend? Who you talking about? LeBron. Oh, yeah, yeah. All you hear, whenever I do listen to Undisputed, and I don't listen to it as much as I used to, all I hear them talk about are the Cowboys or the Buccaneers. Not even the Patriots as much anymore. Magically, I wonder why. But like, I don't really hear them talking about the Steelers. Like you said, the Steelers are 10-0. Mike Tomlin, where's his credit? But remember a couple of years ago when the Steelers had a what was it? Was it last year or the year before that when the Steelers was they had a bad record and everybody was on Mike Tomlin? Man, I don't know, man. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people don't like to bring up race and stuff, and some people are like, "Damn, man, all you do is talk about race." No, it ain't not to talk about race. I just think race plays a factor in a lot of things. It does. It's not the only factor, but it plays a factor. Whenever there's a championship team and there's a black coach, he doesn't get as much credit. I've always noticed that for the most part. Not always, it's not always the case, but for the most part, it's just a reality. You're just not going to get as much credit. It's going to go to management It'll go to the organization and their draft picks, or you know, you gotta. It's just gonna go to something else, man. Stephen A. Smith, man, fuck that company, fucking jigaboo, man. I hate that dude, man. I really do, man. Stephen A. Smith is such a disappointment. He's such a disappointment from what I thought he was when he first his first time go around at ESPN. He tried to come across like he real cool and man, a real cool dude and shit, man. But he's just a company man, man. Stephen A. Smith to me has mastered the art of sounding like a dude that keeps it real, but in reality, he knows his place. You know what I'm saying? He got a real. He's mastered the art of tap dancing. You know, he'll tap dance around an issue enough to make it sound like he's keeping it real, but then at the end of the day, he'll make sure that he won't say anything that's going to be offensive or anything that's going to get him in hot water. He plays that dance. He tap dances very well. There was a time when I liked Stephen A. Smith, like back when he did the when he had his show. Quite frankly, back in the mid 2000s, I liked him. Right, I liked him then, but then he got fired. He got fired by ESPN, and then he came back. He was rehired, and I noticed a difference in him. Like he sounded the same, but he knew his place. You know what I'm saying? Well, the thing about the Cowboys is like you tell Redskin fans if they think that the Cowboys are America's team, or you ask the fake ass Patriot fans that's now Buccaneer fans, that ask Giants fans, ask 49ers fans, they'll tell you, fuck no, they're not America's team. Oh yeah, he the king of that shit, King Thanos. He'll sprinkle on some fake compliments before he shit on you. I've been listening to the brother Too Raw for quite a few times, man. He's an excellent brother. He knows his stuff, man. So it pains me to say what I'm about to say, man, because I got so much respect for the brother. But brother, how many times you gonna use race as an excuse? I mean, goddamn, I'm shitting on you. Crabs the barrel, crabs the bucket. Now, but with a white guy, totally different approach. Uh, you know, uh, I can't say any. I have nothing but praise and respect for Skip Wellington. He's the greatest white hope I ever seen in my life. I'm not going to say anything bad about this guy because I know my boss is going to be on my ass if I say anything bad about this guy because he voted for Trump. He's a Trump supporter. I know my place. I was a good nigga, so I'm not going to say anything bad about this guy. Oh no, sirree. Yeah, apparently Mike is say he want to fight again. Yeah, he say he want to fight again. So But my thing is though, what exactly is his motivation for this? That's what I'm wondering. Like, what's his motivation? Like, I don't think it's money. I don't get the impression he hurting for money. Is it the fact that he just didn't like the way his career ended? I don't know. Well, Zach, the thing that made me lose respect for Stephen A. Smith is he got all this smoke for black athletes, you know, lecturing black athletes, shit like that, right? But I remember that situation happened. Was it with Ray Rice? I'm trying to remember the situation where he was talking about. I can't remember what sparked it off, but he was talking about how there are sometimes women that lie. I think he was talking about there were women that lie about domestic violence, and he was also talking about how people need to everybody need to keep their hands off each other. You know what I'm saying? Which is real shit. Michelle Beadle came out and complained about what the fuck he said, and the next day, he got reprimanded by ESPN or suspended, whatever the fuck it was. Why, I don't know the fuck he got suspended for. And then he just kind of like bowed down to Michelle Beadle and shit. Like, people don't want to keep it real, so I'm just gonna be quiet about the subject. I'm like, man, fuck that shit, man. Go back down to her and shit, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, it ain't like what you were saying was wrong. I don't understand how anybody can hear you say everybody need to keep their hands to themselves, and somehow magically in their heads, they're hearing you say, well, men need to hit women if women hit men. That's not what you said. You said everybody need to keep their hands to themselves. Right, right. Well, I mean, honestly, I think it's crazy. I damn sure think it's crazy, man. But I'll tell you one thing. If Mike can actually come back and fight a sanctioned normal bout against even at this point, an average fighter, you know what I'm saying? If he could just come back and fight against an average fighter. Remember, Sugar Ray Leonard came back when he was 40 and got his ass whooped by Hector Macho Camacho. Camacho, if he fought Leonard 10 years earlier, would have lost pretty badly, I think. We're talking about a dude that's 54 years old. You know what I'm saying? You know, if he were to come back and fight an average fighter, just some average run-of-the-mill fighter, a professional fighter, some guy in his 20s or early 30s, and Tyson was actually knocked this guy out, um, honestly, it would say it would say different things. It would say that a lot of the shit that we've been saying in the past about the level of competition might have some truth to it. You know what I'm saying? About how maybe some of these guys really aren't all that skilled. Hey, be funny? It'd be funny if Michael Jordan was watching this shit tonight, like, hey, you know what?
God damn it. God damn it. I done made my mind up. Yvette, God damn it, I made my mind up. I'm coming back to play the NBA this year. Are you crazy? God damn it. If Mike can do it, I can do it. I still got my fadeaway jumper. You know what I'm saying? I can still, I can still get my shot off, just gotta work on my timing, my reflexes, just gotta get in shape. I still got to lift on my jumper. I could be I could play in the poke. I can score in the paint. You know what I'm saying? I got really, utilize my quickness no more. I could just be more of a, I could be a power forward. Might come back and get his ass whooped. Both Mikes. Jordan come back in the NBA and get embarrassed. Might come back and go up against fucking Trae Young. Trae Young scores 68 points against him and shit. Nah, he'd be fucking. I remember when he came back with the Wizards, they was calling him Floor Jordan. He come back now, he be on the floor Jordan. Oh, Jordan crossed up again. Oh, Trae Young with 59. Timeout. Jordan on the floor again. Air Mays. Air Willie Mays on the Mets. On the floor, Jordan. Even Gordon Hayward have crossed Jordan up. He crosses Jordan up in practice and shit. Yeah, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see Jordan embarrass himself, man. Jordan come back, getting his fucking Jordan to come back and be fucking getting his fadeaways blocked and shit. I don't want to see that. Under the ground. He said 3 Cuban cigars. Hell yeah. 3 Cuban cigars. Goddamn. Goddamn fucking golf balls. 2 of his rings fall out and shit. Goddamn, dog. Damn. My 96 and 98 ring. You see them motherfuckers? Man, Skip is delusional, man. Skip is real delusional. I remember when Mike came back with the Wizards, and I remember he kept. Excuse me, I'm about to shut this shit down soon. I remember when he came back with the Wizards, he wasn't as quick. And he kept thinking that he was fooling somebody with that pump fake. That nigga kept pump faking to death. I'm like, Jordan, stop with the fucking pump fake, man. You ain't fooling nobody with that shit now. Can Jordan still average 20? I don't think he averaged 20 minutes a game, let alone 20 points a game. Now, Jordan said he ain't got the patience to be a coach. I kind of agree with that. Elijah says, "Do you think Giannis is going to stay with the Bucks?" I saw an article that said he was pissed the Bucks messed up that Bogdanovich trade. Um, I'm laughing at something, man. Elijah, from what I understand, Milwaukee Bucks fans in general are pissed at the organization for fucking up that Bogdanovich trade. And honestly, with what the Bucks have right now, I don't know, man. I don't know if that's enough for Giannis to want to stay, man. And I get this feeling that people in the media are trying to push Giannis to leave any fucking way. It's like they're trying to push Giannis to get out of Milwaukee. And, they either want him to go to Miami or Golden State or Lakers or some shit, man. I don't know, man. All I know is I'm starting to lean toward Giannis might leave, man. Because I think in order for him to stay, they will have to put together a team that's at least like competitive. Like I just don't see this team right now as a championship team. But I don't understand why people don't notice what the media does, though, man. Like, remember last year, everybody was talking about how Davis was the best big man in the league, and he was so skilled, and well, not last year, year before last, and he was so skilled, and is he gonna leave? And man, if he goes to the Lakers, that's an instant championship. Remember now, LeBron not gonna be the best player on the team anymore. This will be Davis. Davis, he's such a skilled big man. He's MVP. But once he got to LA, notice how magically it was all about LeBron now. I mean, Davis is great, but LeBron is the key. LeBron is the glue. I'm like, man, fuck y'all, man. Y'all spent the whole fucking year before talking about how great Davis was. And then once y'all acquired Davis, now he a sidekick and shit. That's why nobody want to play with LeBron, man. At least anybody got an ego. Now, luckily, Davis don't really have an ego like that. But people that got an ego, they don't want to play with that motherfucker, man. They lose, hey, it's your fault, man. You score more points. You step up. When they win, hey, man, LeBron's a winner. He makes everybody around him better. Man, I ain't signed for this bullshit, man. Now, I didn't see the Du Bois versus George fight. The thing about Zach Frederick said Michael Jordan wasn't as quick on the Wizards and his stats had gone down considerably, but he was still cracking some of the best young players in the league. But old Michael had his good and bad moments. I remember he had great games. Don't get me wrong. I remember the 51 that he had against the Hornets. I actually saw that game. I actually went to that game and saw that one. It's the only actual NBA game I went to. And I luckily went to that game and saw Jordan drop 51. Then I think the next night he had 45. The next game he had 45 against the
the Nets or some shit like that. Because before that, he had a 6-point game against the Pacers, which was a career low at the time. Then he went and dropped 51. The next thing he had 45. He would have these great moments, but he also had a lot of bad games. Like I remember that same season, man, he had a 5-point game. No. It was like I think he scored 10 points or something against the Sonics and Gary Payton. He shot 5 for 26. Like, I mean, goddamn. I mean, games like that, you just didn't see from Jordan in his prime. You didn't see him shoot like that. But with the Wizards, especially that first year he came back, he had some awful fucking games, man. What's up, CB Sports TV? What's up, Jay Manowski? Yeah, I think AD was a difference too, man. But I trip out how like the media tried to get AD that consolation prize of Defensive Player of the Year and shit. But he does the dirty work. Go give him that award. But to cover the MVP, that's LeBron's. Then when it went to fucking Giannis, when both awards went to Giannis, motherfuckers in the media had a hissy fit about that shit. I just don't understand how you can watch the game. Oh, Kendrick, fat motherfucking piece of shit. Let me stop. Also, you can watch these games and feel that Giannis is a better player than LeBron. I mean, LeBron give you the intangibles. LeBron giving you 25 or 10 a night. Giannis doing his thing, but, I mean, LeBron, he doing it on a whole nother level. He's playing the point guard at age 35. He's setting himself up to win a championship. I mean, what player that you know of, a legend, that won a title at age 35? Jordan, you dumb bitch. Well, who else? Well, Chamberlain was 36, I think, when he won a title. You stupid fuck. Who else? Bill Russell was 35 when he won his last title. The fat, fucking, bloated, fucking cattle weight bitch. I don't believe your sources. And you remember, well, Zach, I remember when Jordan came back, was going through his comeback in 2001. Charles Barkley was supposed to be coming back. And at the time, Charles weighed like 340 pounds. And he was working out with Mike, and he was going to come back. And I think they were going to play with each other, if I'm not mistaken. And Charles got all the way down because his playing weight at the time was 265. And Charles got all the way down from 340 to 290. He lost 50 pounds. But then after a while, it's like Charles is like, man, do I really want this shit? And I think, shortly thereafter, man, Charles chose cheeseburgers over glory and shit, man. He just couldn't, just lost his will and shit. The
Robinson wake up. I think he kind of rose his head for a little bit and then went back and took it and then went back into his slumber. Yeah, I ain't like it looked like Robinson was having a good nap right there on that canvas, man. That's probably the best sleep he got in years. Yeah, Jay Manowski, man. Ain't nothing better than a good cheeseburger. Matter of fact, what's better than a good cheeseburger after a good fuck? Is there anything better than that? Jake Paul like NyQuil. Except wings, nah, I'd rather have a cheeseburger after a good fuck. Wings are good too. Sprite from McDonald's. Well, that's if it's hot as a motherfucker. Yeah, then a good Sprite. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Zach shit. Kareem won his last title when he was 41. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like the fuck? Like, I don't know. Like, for some reason he thinking like Kendrick Perkins thinking like everybody won their titles, there was 23 and shit. You said I'm not gonna watch Annie. Um I don't know, probably. I'm not gonna act like I don't drink soda, Jay Manowski, but I try to stay away from dark sodas. I mean, sodas aren't healthy anyway, but I know dark sodas are particularly bad for your kidneys and shit. Man, LeBron ruthless, man. LeBron, LeBron will use you for your services and get if he can find something better, a better option, shit, he'll get rid of you just like that. Just like they did um just like they did what you call it, man? What's his name? Damn, man, he done become so irrelevant. I gotta think of his fucking name and shit, man. Lonzo. See how quickly he done become irrelevant and shit, man. Do you hear ESPN talk about that motherfucker now? I used to like root beer though, man. Hey Prince, man, Prince of Keys, man, I got addicted to Fanta sodas, man. Lamelli, I know what you're talking about. Octavius, Texas made LeBron do 5 different jobs. I mean, Zach, okay, yeah, I mean, you could say after 80, I mean, okay, you could say after 86, Kareem kind of got carried, but then didn't he kind of earn it? I mean, he was carrying the Lakers for over a fucking decade, you know. I mean, at one point, Kareem was doing every fucking thing. Kareem was the main scorer. He was rebounding. He was blocking shots. You know what I'm saying? He was doing every fucking thing on the team. At one point, he was one of the. At one point, Kareem was their leading scorer, their leading rebounder, their leading shot blocker, their main defensive. What I'm trying to say, he was their main um, um, defensive presence, and he was one of their leading passers. That's another underrated part of his game. I mean, Magic took a lot of pressure off Kareem, and when Magic, got there, and Magic was a above average rebounding point guard, and then they had other people on the team, Michael Thompson, and later on they had AC Green. They had these guys that were, Kurt Rambis, they had all these guys that were really good rebounders. Shit, Kareem's job was basically just to score. Yeah, Ray DeRazzo. My favorite Fanta man is the I guess it's called the Orange Crush or something like that, or the Orange Jump. He said Jordan's lungs black as midnight now. Do some of y'all do I would imagine some of y'all don't even remember. I would imagine some of you guys don't even know who George Burns was, huh?
Yeah, he was a comedian. You know what, Jimmy? He died exactly 1 year before Notorious B.I.G. I definitely remember that. That's just one of the things I remember. I remember he died exactly 1 year before Notorious B.I.G. And I remember he was supposed to celebrate his 100th birthday at in Las Vegas, I think. But he he had an incident where I think he fell when he was 98. He fell in the bathtub and suffered like a subdural hematoma, some shit. And after that, he fell apart, and he barely made it to 100 because I think his birthday was January the 20th of that year, and of course he didn't go to Vegas. And yeah, I think he died on March 9th, 1996, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Ray. But his career actually started in vaudeville, like in the. I want to say, I want to say he started performing when he was like a kid, like in the beginning of the 20th century. And then, he did a couple of movies in the 30s and 40s. And right, like you say, he had the show with him, Burns and Allen, the 1950s. And then I think Gracie Allen died in 1964 of a heart ailment or something. And then he kind of was off the radar for about 10 years. And then he came back and he replaced Jack Benny in The Sunshine Boys. It's a movie that came out in 1975. How do I know this shit? I don't know because I just know every fucking thing. He replaced Jack Benny because Jack Benny he got sick with prostate cancer and took over the role for him. And he won an Oscar for that role, if I'm not mistaken, Academy Award. And that started the beginning of the second phase of his career. The George Burns that everybody knows, the old man with the cigar and all this shit. Some would say you read too much. Yeah, I guess some people would say that. I do remember that. Now that you mention it, Zach, they were supposed to have like this one-on-one game. I do, but what I really remember was the one-on-one game that was it Jordan versus Isaiah. It supposed to be pay-per-view like in 91 or something. Was Lenny Bruce funny? Uh, I didn't find him hilarious. Me personally, I didn't find him really that funny, but I do think he was groundbreaking and setting the standard for what comedians can talk about. Because he was talking about stuff that comedians weren't supposed to be talking about. He was lewd. He was dirty, I guess. But he did it in a clever way for the most part. But he was considered obscene. But as far as his material is concerned, I didn't find him all that funny, Lenny Bruce. Oh, it was Akeem that backed out of it. I like Jack Benny. I think Jack Benny was pretty funny. You know what I'm saying? Jack Benny was real funny. And what's interesting about Jack Benny was most comedians at that age kind of fade into the background. But Jack Benny was still very popular as a comedian. He still was getting television specials and shit all the way up until last year of his life. He was still a very popular comedian in the country. And from what I remember reading, well, I'm not gonna bore you guys with that shit. Never mind, I don't want to hear that shit. Are you talking about Ray DeRosa? You talking about like back supposedly back in 2003 when Braun and Jordan went 1-on-1, and supposedly it was at like Jordan's like camp or some shit like that. Yeah, I don't know what to believe out of it. Like some people say that LeBron got the best of Jordan, but you know, there's some people say that Jordan got the best of LeBron. So I don't know what actually happened. I do know that people said that LeBron sort of with most of the competition there, he looked like a man amongst boys. Thanks, who did it? Yeah, man. I know it seems like I hate Tom Brady's guts, and yeah, I do. I kind of do hate him, man. I just don't like him, man. I'm sorry. I respect his talent, man, but I don't like him. You know, I'm sorry. You know, I just look at the fact that his teams have constantly been, or at least on multiple occasions, have been accused of doing, you know, illegal shit, cheating, that he was involved with deflating footballs to have a competitive advantage. And that just goes also to what I was talking about earlier on my channel with Barry Bonds and steroids. Okay, if you're going to penalize Barry Bonds for using steroids when it was actually not illegal to do at the time, Major League Baseball, then why aren't you making a big deal of Tom Brady? I mean, look, we all have common sense. We all know that he was doing that to have some type of advantage, but it gets brushed aside. And this is shit that pissed me off, man. Like they're not consistent with their shit, man. It's more Tom Brady, man, because Prince Keys, because have you noticed? Now, maybe I'm wrong because I don't follow football like that, but oh yeah, and I do remember what you're talking about. Who did it this time? But it seems like a lot of former Patriots fans have now just ran their ass to Tampa Bay all of a sudden. You know, where all these Tampa Bay fans come from. And now that Tom Brady looks sort of, to me, average. I mean, maybe a little bit above average, but he doesn't look like Tom Terrific anymore. Now people want to point the finger at other entities. Now it's the coach's fault. Well, maybe it's just fucking Tom Brady, man. You know, I mean, at the end of the day, I don't like how he's never held accountable for any fucking thing. I think it's that, Jimmy. I think it's more, even though I will say outside of journalism, maybe race plays a little part of it, but I think it's more the journalists not liking Bonds. You know what I'm saying? And they do that. Anybody that's an athlete who treated their fraternity like shit, you see it. You see the bias. Shit, even with Trump. And I don't like Trump. But I will say this, Trump does not like the media for the most part. He criticizes them. He criticizes almost all of them, unless you kiss his ass. You even see with Fox News, he's constantly, and they're supposed to be his allies. He constantly criticizes them. And you're seeing even Fox News is starting to, some people with Fox News are turning against Trump. But you gotta expect that if you're gonna be a critic of the media. And, that's the way that these journalists get back at these athletes when it comes time for Hall of Fame enshrinement. They fucked over Terrell Owens. That guy should be the first ballot Hall of Famer for, not a question. Barry Bonds should be in the Hall of Fame already. Right. Yeah. Yeah, they did do that to Kareem. Kareem's not even, it just bothers me how Kareem is not even mentioned in the GOAT conversation. Like it's just magically LeBron or Jordan. Like there's no other candidates for GOAT. Nope, never offered a coaching position. Doesn't make any sense. Yeah, you got people. Yeah, right. You got people shitting on Bruce Arians because he's calling out Brady. He's supposed to be held accountable if he's fucking up. Or you're supposed to take him to the side and tell him that. Man, shut up. Yeah. And Kareem getting up there too. Who did it, man? I think Kareem is 73. You know, I just get bothered. I get bothered at the fact that ever since Will Chamberlain passed away, I think it was October the 12th, 99. Ever since he passed away, his ranking, like his all-time ranking, has dropped. Like a lot of younger people don't believe this or believe me when I say it, but when Wilt Chamberlain passed away, the argument was more who was the GOAT, Jordan or Wilt. Not even Jordan or Kareem, it was Jordan or Wilt. But somehow Wilt is not even in that conversation anymore like that. Like you have some people that don't even have Wilt in their top 10, which I'm honestly like, I don't know what they're looking at. I really don't understand what they're looking at. If you're talking about, okay, he wasn't a good foul shooter, okay, all right, penalize him for that. He only won 2 championships. I mean, okay, all right. But still, how do you not have him at least in your top 4 or 5? I don't understand it. I remember that dude, man. That motherfucker told me, yeah, man, you don't hear me capping for Bob Cousy. I said, what? I said, motherfucker, what the hell you ever heard me? When have y'all ever heard me come on this motherfucker say, look, man, I'm tired of you motherfuckers not giving Bob Cousy his motherfucking respect, man. Y'all better give Bob Cousy his motherfucking respect, his due. Do you know how hard it was back in 1957 to ball in them Chuck Taylors? Them little ass fucking super nut huggers? Do you know how hard it is to read a defense in black and white? Everything was in black and white back then. We didn't get color to 65. Y'all know that. Bob Cousy was doing it back then in a black and white world. I need to give him come on, man. If anything, y'all know how I roll. If I'm capping for somebody, it's usually for somebody that's at a disadvantage from back then. You know what I mean by that. Come on. I give Bob Cousy his due, but I mean, come on. I actually think that if Wilt played in the 90s, like I'm gonna tell you something. Remember that clip? I uploaded it on my channel maybe 2 years ago now. It was that clip of Bill Russell and Wilt. I think it's from like 1996 or 97. And Ahmad Rashad is interviewing them, and he's asking them about like how they would be today. And remember, Wilt said that he think that he would average 60 or 70 points in today's NBA. And when I was listening at the time, like, yeah, sure, Wilt. I mean, I know you great shit, man, but get the fuck out of here. 60 or 70, man, get the fuck out of here. But now I understand what he was talking about. This is what he's talking about. I don't think he means average, like career average. No, he's not going to average that many points. What he was saying was that season when he averaged 50, if he took as many shots as he took back then and played the game at that time and took advantage of the rules, he would average 60 or 70. Now I understand what he's talking about, and I believe him. And the reason why I kind of side with him now is when Wilt played, you couldn't be too aggressive offensively in the post. Like backing your man down, you really couldn't do that. Leaning your shoulder,
that shit Shaq always did when he turned and leaned his shoulder in the motherfucker and bulldozed the motherfucker, you couldn't do that back then. As strong as Wilt was, he had to hold back. Now imagine Wilt Chamberlain, 25 years old, 26 years old, can bench press 480 pounds or 500 pounds, whatever the fuck it was at the time. Later on, it was close to 600. You this athletic freak with a 45-inch vertical leap, strong as an ox, and you're taking 40 shots a game, and you don't have to worry about being constantly double or triple team. Yeah, I can see him averaging that many amount of points if he's shooting the ball that much. Right. Yeah, I can see Greg Ostertag or Chris Dudley. Yeah, Irvin Johnson. Yeah, they would have gave Wilt Fitz. Yeah, I can see Rick Smith's slow-footed ass really being able to keep up with Wilt. You know what I'm saying? I think Jerry West is underrated though, Prince Keezy, man. You know what I'm saying? Jerry West is a great player, man. You know, it's just I think he just get this bias for being a white boy, you know what I'm saying? Like, but it's the other way around. You know, when you white, a lot of people think you just can't ball and shit. Um, you said I do think Bob Cousy is a bit underrated because he was the leading scorer on the team at a time when little point guards didn't typically score a lot. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Um, don't get me wrong, Bob Cousy was he could ball. I just don't think he's up there with like the top three dudes. You know, like I don't think he's up there with Magic, Oscar, and Isaiah. You know, that's the top trio to me. And then afterward, it's the next hierarchy, the Stocktons and maybe Cousy a little bit under that. Like I see him in that range. Right, right. Oh, Luke Longley. The thing about Wilt, man, is from watching him in footage, he was not only. It's almost like Wilt would have been a combination of David Robinson, maybe just a tad bit faster, and a little bit faster in the fast break, but with Shaq's strength. I mean, how the fuck you gonna really guard that? Let me ask y'all a question. Cause I think this is a guy. And after I ask this question, I'm gonna go ahead and call it a night, man. See y'all tomorrow after this one. But have y'all ever heard? 'Cause I just want to see just how far he's fallen out of like general knowledge from sports fans. Have y'all ever heard of a high scoring guard from the late 1950s, early 1960s called Richie Guerin? I'm thinking about doing a video on him before the year is out. Y'all know about Richie Guerin? He said, who? Rich Guerin. Yeah, Richie Guerin. That's what I'm saying. Like, um, he was a shooting guard with the Knicks, 50s, late 50s, maybe mid to late 50s, early 1960s. And I think he was inducted into the Hall of Fame a couple of years ago. I think a couple of years ago. And I think he's like in his late 80s now. But his game actually, if you look at it, would kind of fit in today's NBA. He was more of a jump shooter, but he was an outside shooter back then. You know what I'm saying? Uh, no. I don't think he played Walt Bellamy because Walt Bellamy came into the NBA, 61, 62, and he was with was it the Chicago Packers? The Chicago Packers. Jesus Christ, what a fucking name. I don't think, I don't think Bellamy joined the Knicks until like when did Bellamy join the Knicks? Was it the late 60s? I think Gurn was retired by then. What's up there, Basil Choco Taco? Sean Kemp was nice, man. Just an idiot, man. He fucked up his contract that he had with what was it, with Reebok? Motherfucker had just signed a contract with Reebok. I can't remember how many millions it was, but he signed a contract with Reebok, and he goes on the fucking radio, and he's doing a radio interview, and he talks about how much he likes Nikes, knowing you just signed a fucking contract with Reebok. Fucking idiot. Right. I thought it was after Gurren had left. You know, that's a long time ago when they were still called the St. Louis Hawks. Top 10 presidents. I mean, off the top of my head, that would probably be, from a historical perspective, probably Abraham Lincoln, uh, FDR, I guess Washington. That's the top three. Then after that, it'd probably be somebody like maybe Thomas Jefferson, number four. Um, that's one of the things you have to think about. Hmm. Hmm. That's a good video idea. Because after the first five, you got to kind of think about it. I know somewhere in that list would be like somebody like Theodore Roosevelt. Hmm. Maybe Harry Truman. That's a good video.
Yeah, I do. Amazing Choco Taco. But Westbrook just seems so intent on shooting threes and shit, man. But Sean Kemp wasn't a very selfish scorer either, though. You know what I'm saying? But Sean Kemp, he never like okay. To me, Sean Kemp, as great as he was athletically, you could kind of say a little bit in the way that people perceive him, in hindsight, a little overrated though, right? Because look, he wasn't the greatest scorer. He wasn't a he wasn't a bad rebounder, but he wasn't the most dominant rebounder. He wasn't the greatest post defender, right? Um, he didn't have the greatest range. He wasn't a great shot blocker. He was just an athletic fucking freak. And you know what, Zach? I have not heard of him, but I will read about him now that you mention him. Yeah, I wasn't thinking about. Now that he's mentioning it, I really wasn't thinking about it. Like top 10 presidents. Like the first three or four are obvious, but then afterwards you got to think about it. Lincoln, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, Washington. I'd say Thomas Jefferson. Um, that's four. I put it like this: in the top 10, it has to be somebody like, in no particular order. Maybe Theodore Roosevelt, maybe Truman, Eisenhower. What is that? Seven. Um, shit. Honestly, pound for pound, maybe even a case for James K. Polk, considering everything that he accomplished in that one term. You know, Trump. Nah, just joking. Oh hell no! I'm not. I wouldn't put Reagan on any top 10 list. Not in my opinion. I think Reagan is so fucking overrated. Are you talking about that kid? I did a video about him. You talking about that kid Ray? He says, A2R, did you hear about that kid who got beat up in Louisiana and got left in the lake? You talking about that kid that snuck out his home with that white woman and the kid, and he was found dead like in a he was found dead like in a I don't think it was a lake. It was like a was it a, like a ravine or some shit? It was like a maybe a 2 inch high amount of water. He was face down, and like his face was kind of fucked up. And the woman that he left with, like she fucking like left, like I think she was soon to be evicted, but she just bounced or some shit.
I can't think of his name at the top of my head, but I think that's what you're talking about. Yeah, I heard about that shit. Worst presidents: Trump, Trump, James Buchanan, Warren G. Yeah, you're right. It's easier, Jimmy. Trump, James Buchanan, Warren G. Harding. That's three right there. Richard Nixon, Andrew Johnson. That's five. What's another shitful president? George W. Bush. That's six. Trying to think of all the shit presidents. I guess you have to put by default. What do you have to put by default? Um, James Garfield and William Harrison there because they weren't president long enough to make a determination. So that would be seven, eight. What's another shit? What's another piece of shit president that didn't do shit? Chester A. Arthur, and in my opinion, man, I think Woodrow Wilson was really overrated. Some people will have him as a above average or good president. Fuck that racist. Fuck Woodrow Wilson, man. Any president that thought that the Birth of the Nation movie was a brilliant movie, any president that, saying resegregated the federal government, fuck him. Ray DeRazzo, do you have McKinley on that list because of the fact that he seems sort of like sort of like he endorsed American imperialism? Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was president at the time, but he was more concerned about the League of Nations. And then the fucked up thing about Woodrow Wilson too is this guy has a fucking stroke, and instead of stepping down, his wife and his doctor all of them conspired to keep the severity of his condition secret because they didn't want Thomas Marshall to become president. So for the last year and some change of his presidency, the country didn't really have a fucking president. Right, I figured that's what it was, Ray. And that's pretty much why he got shot too. And then the delusional bastard thought he should run for a third term. He thought he was deserving of a third term. But as far as racist is concerned, from what I read, man, Andrew Johnson was the worst, man. Andrew Johnson was the absolute most racist president. He looked at black people as not only like how most racists see black people as inferior,
he saw black people as basically on the same level as like animals, or even worse. Like he was just, I think if there's one thing that Abraham Lincoln did that was fucked up, was dropping Hannibal Hamlin as his vice president and picking him as his vice president. A fucking stupid ass hick drunk. A stupid ass hick drunk as his vice president. And shout out Choco Taco for his donation to the channel. I just saw your donation, man. Shout out for your donation to the channel, man. If you guys want to, let me mention this. I don't mention this all the time. If you want to donate to the channel, you can do so on the links in my description box via PayPal or Cash App if you choose to. Oh yeah, to me, Abe was a white supremacist. He just, to me, Abe Lincoln just kind of he was better than most for his era, but he still was a racist. He still looked at black people as being, inferior. But you know, and if he could have, he would not have eradicated slavery. But he just didn't have any option. You know, he did it for strategic reasons. Right. Really, to be honest with you, people in the federal government were more concerned about the power that uh, the expansion of slavery gave the slave states. They were more concerned about that, rather than whether it was, to me at least, most of them were more concerned about the threat that paid that the threat the expansion of slavery uh, made toward the federal government, rather than a moral issue. So when people talk about Abe Lincoln, I'm like, okay, that's nice, but I know the real reason why he did shit. Yeah, they romanticize Lincoln like he was just great friend to the black man and shit. I'm like, yeah, he's a politician that did what he thought was best. Now the byproduct was great. I can't fault him for that. I guess in theory I thank him for that because it did end slavery, but it didn't end our nightmare because we still had to deal with another 90 plus years of Jim Crow afterward. You know what I'm saying? So you got to ask yourself, why did it take so long for that to happen? Why did it take so long for our nightmare to end when it comes to Jim Crow? And we still have to deal with shit today. Honestly, one way they try to get around it to enslave us is to put us in prison. Yeah, yeah, right. So many, like you said, so many black men and black women, but particularly black men being incarcerated for, you know, exorbitant amount of times and harsh, sentences. And I look at it like it's just a way that they get around
the 13th and 15th Amendments and shit. What's up, Juanetta? Yeah, Lincoln freed the slaves, but he did not want to see them get ahead of the white man. You know what's funny, Juanetta, is I read that Lincoln got Lincoln was assassinated 2 days after he gave a speech where he publicly came out in favor of suffrage for black men, some black men. Okay, it was limited, but he came out in favor of the right to vote for some black men who I guess they thought were mentally fit to vote. And that was like too much for white people, like the racists. It's bad enough that you ended slavery. Now Lincoln was talking about slowly giving black people the right to vote. And I think, that might have accelerated his assassination. Our buddy Joe Biden. Yep, our buddy. Remember our buddy in 2016, she famously called people that look like me and you super predators. But that was our buddy then too, right? Abe should have stayed his ass home that night. Sean, you know what? I can see that happening, man, because, or at least that could be the perception, because I have a feeling that the Senate's probably going to be in Republicans' hands by a small margin. The Democrats have a reduced majority in the Congress. We all know Mitch McConnell. What the fuck make people think Mitch McConnell all of a sudden is going to be open and willing to work with Joe Biden? At the end of the day, we all know what's going to happen. So, yeah, I don't know. I just think, Jimmy, that he's going to be sort of, who can I compare him to? Maybe George H.W. Bush without the glory of the Gulf War. Take take away the glory of the Gulf War, and he'll be another one turn like George H.W. Bush. Gerald Ford. Well, Ford wasn't elected though, so I mean, but yeah, I know what you're saying. Like, just trying to think of like one of them average ass presidents, like not terrible, but not great either. Like maybe like a. Oh, by the way, when we were talking about bad presidents, we forgot to mention Franklin Pierce. But I'm trying to think of like an average president, like just he alright, but he maybe somebody like Taft or something. William Howard Taft. Not great, not terrible, just he was president. Hoover. I think Hoover gets a bad rap though, man. I really do. Hoover was elected by one of the, at the time at least, Hoover got elected by at the time the greatest electoral um, victory in modern era. They had the greatest electoral college victory at the time, 444 to 87. He won 58% of the vote. It was a landslide, right? And, at the time, Hoover, I think he had been, what was his title under Coolidge? Was he Secretary of State or Secretary of I forgot his title, but I know he had been this great humanitarian for, um, 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 shit, man. I'm getting kind of, I'm getting kind of fuzzy with my history, man. I think Hoover was a great, he was considered a great humanitarian for, as far as like food rationing for people who have been ravaged during World War One, and the perception was he was going to be a great president. Had a great temperament. Um, many people thought that he was going to be a good president, but then the fucking Great Depression happened, and I don't think that was Hoover's fault. Yeah, Secretary of Commerce. Okay, thanks. Couldn't think. I knew he was Secretary of something under Coolidge. I just couldn't remember what title it was. He was president when the stock market crashed, but he'd only been president for 6 months. The things that led to the Great Depression, you really could really blame Coolidge for. You know, I mean, maybe Hoover deserves a little blame, but I mean, I didn't even see your question. Amazing Choco Taco says, Churro, how long do you think Trump lives outside his presidency? Well, I, 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 I don't know, man. I do know that recent presidents have lived for pretty long, you know, ever since Lyndon Johnson. I know Lyndon Johnson only lived to be 64, but, Lyndon Johnson didn't have the benefit of the medical advances we have now. Even with a president that might have heart disease, with all the medical advancements, they live much longer. Um, Bill Clinton has heart disease. Um, George W. Bush has heart disease. Trump has heart disease, but look how quickly they fixed him up from the COVID. So I wouldn't be surprised if Trump lived well into his 80s. You know, John Quincy Adams. I think that, yeah, I agree with that. Great diplomat, average president.
Quincy Adams didn't have, to me, great political instincts. And he also, from what I've read, had a really bad temper. He didn't have the temperament to be president. He's one of those persons that he's one of those people that thought people should just follow him because he's the president and shit. Now, quite honestly, Juanetta, I am not the right person to ask that to because I am not an economic expert. There's so many different theories, but I'll just say lack of regulation had something to do with it. You know what I'm saying? Like Coolidge pretty much was Coolidge was the most pro business president we've ever had. I do know the little bit I know about economics. Like I said, I'm not an expert in that. I do know that uh, I don't know if I want to use the term inflation, but I do know from reading that some of the stock prices have become overinflated, like with far as stocks. Um, like some people thought that some of the market, like the prices and the stock market, like the actual. What I'm trying to say, I remember reading that the actual stock prices were probably grossly inflated as to the actual worth, and this had something to do with the crash, eventual crash of the stock market. Like I said, I'm not an expert. I have to read more into it, but it's different factors. But I do know this. Basically, from what I've read, most people put most of the blame on the Coolidge administration. But the thing about it, all this shit happened immediately after Coolidge left office. So therefore, the blame goes to Hoover. While Coolidge looks good because when he left, the economy was still technically doing good, even though there were warning signs when he was leaving that an impending crash was going to happen. Same thing like with Clinton. Clinton get all this credit for the great '90s economy, but a lot of people say that it had to do with that massive tax increase that Bush approved, which was unpopular for his base because in 1988, Bush had promised no new taxes. But then 2 years later, he did cave into the Democrats and help to pass that huge tax increase, which actually did help to stimulate the economy. So really, people say it was Bush and the Democrats at the time, but Clinton gets all the credit for it. David Prost died? Damn. Who do I think is the greatest presidential candidate of all time?
Mm, what are you basing that on? Like performance? Um, the most inspirational? Um, I mean, damn. um, how about we go for party? If you're talking about the Republicans, I guess Reagan. Democrats, I got to go with one that probably Franklin Delano Roosevelt. I mean, they both hold records for performance. Reagan has the record for both highest electoral college votes ever, 525, and then the record for most electoral college votes won on first attempt as a candidate, 489. FDR has the record for margin of electoral college victory, 515. Um, FDR won 4 different elections, and the fewest electoral college votes he ever won was still 432. So he dominated every election. You know what I'm saying? He dominated. Either he won uh, comfortably in the popular vote or was a landslide. Well, I wouldn't say Hillary was the worst candidate if you're talking about like performance. Like if you're talking about like actual election performance, it's a lot of candidates that did worse than her. And honestly, even if you're talking about like underperforming expectations, Thomas Dewey performed much worse than Hillary did. When you're talking about like actual performance. But if you're talking about like the worst electoral like performances, you got to talk about people like Walter Mondale, George McGovern, Alf Landon, William Howard Taft in 1912. Like those are some of your worst performances. Goldwater in '64. Uh, well, the caucus was bad, you know, considering that he was up 17 points at one point. But, at least he did get 111 electoral votes. I mean, Mondale got 13. 13. 13. And he barely won his home state. 13, man. 13. Alf Landon only won 2 states. And didn't even win his home state. 8 electoral votes. 8. Roosevelt beat him 523 to fucking 8. And you know what's crazy? That was the first election where you had polling, Gallup polling, right? And the Gallup polling has suggested that Roosevelt was going to win. Now, it didn't predict that he was going to win by that much, but it predicted that he was going to win. But at that time, most people went by this unscientific measure. They were going by, it was a magazine called, I think it was called Reader's Digest, right? And they had people
mail in who they who they were going to support. And they used the mail in votes to make the determination that Landon was going to win in a landslide. And they were so with their prediction that soon afterward, their circulation ended and shit. If Gore won, um, I honestly think that things would not be that different in some ways. I think if Gore won, 9/11 might still happen. I think the main difference would be that Gore would be much more active as far as his pet, his pet things, his pet projects, as far as global warming and environment and shit like that. But you gotta remember, like Al Gore in 2000, the way Democrats were then would be almost center right now. You know what I'm saying? Like as far as the way the party was still against pro marriage. The party was still against gay marriage. You could argue the Democrats were still sort of at that time. Yeah, they were. They were still anti-immigration. I know this shit sounds crazy, but I don't really think things would be that different. I think in 2004, I don't think Bush would have ran again. I think John McCain might have ran against Al Gore in 2004. And depending upon how the economy is and if we were at war, because I don't know if we would have fought, if we would have been in a war in Iraq. It might have been a totally different thing. He probably would have gone after bin Laden or whatever. But depending on whatever happened, I don't know what would have happened. But I definitely think that John McCain would have ran 2004 instead of 2008. My best guess is this. My best guess is that Al Gore would go after bin Laden, or at least appear to go after bin Laden. We know how that works, right? And they would fake kill bin Laden while he living somewhere in the Tora Bora Mountains. They would fake kill him. Al Gore would have like 65% approval rating, and he would probably win in a landslide and serve 2 terms. And he would, like I said, he would beat McCain in 2004. But that would set the stage in 2008 for somebody like maybe, oh shit, maybe a Mitt Romney. And then maybe a guy like Obama wouldn't have ran until 2012 or 2016. That sound close to y'all? That sound any? I believe that. Yeah, I think Saddam Hussein will still be alive. What poll are you looking at, Prince Okezi, that had Bush leading Clinton with 2 weeks to go? Because what I remember was, I remember, because 92 was the first election I really followed. I was 12 years old at the time, 11, 12 years old. But I remember following the election. And I remember in the spring, Parole was actually leading both of them to the point where
Some people thought, is Perot going to be the first true third-party candidate to ever win the White House? Then in July, he dropped out. I think it's because I think the Bush family threatened his ass, to be honest with you, threatened him and his family. But he dropped out. Then after he dropped out, it was Clinton that gained momentum. And Clinton had a double-digit lead when Perot got back into the race. I think it was in September. But when Perot got back into the race, Clinton started dropping a little bit. And I do remember the gap closed between Clinton and Bush. But I don't remember Bush having a considerable lead against Clinton with 2 weeks to go. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there were some polls that had Bush up. But I always thought most of the polls had Clinton up toward the end. Peace out, Mike 104. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and call it quits too, man. I need to take my ass to bed, man. I've been saying I'm gonna go to bed for the last 30, 40 minutes. But it was nice talking to y'all, man. It was a good fight. Mike looked decent for his age. And I'll see y'all tomorrow, all right? Peace out.